Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to another episode of Talk to Me, the show where I get my friends to talk to me. Today, we have a fairly new friend of mine. His name is Nate. Nate, how you doing today, mate?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. Yourself?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Thank you for doing this, brother. Thanks for jumping on.
That's all right, mate.
Ladies and gents, this is probably the most formal episode of Talk to Me we've ever done. And the reason for that is my man over here dresses up every single day in lockdown. Even though he's at home working on his computer, he still dresses up every single day. So I thought I'd match him. Mate, why do you do that? Why do you dress up every day?
Mate, look, I'm a type of person that if I don't have the right mindset, I won't do it.
Okay.
And for me, the way I feel, the way I look, what I got on, influences on what you do. So if I'm not in my work clothes, if I'm not in, what I feel comfortable with working on, I won't get anything done. I still don't get much done, but at least gives me the mentality that I'm getting something done.
You feel like it's that first thing that you've ticked off your list for the day?
Yeah, sort of thing, mate. Yeah, you just sort of plan my outfits and as to what I'm going to wear the night before I go to bed. And yeah, it just makes me feel good.
Helps you get into it. I like it. Well, mate, I'm not going to lie to you. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous that we were going to be wearing suits, but now that we're doing it, mate, I'm a fan.
Mate, it's a beautiful day as well. It's 27, 28 degrees here.
It is boiling hot outside and we're wearing some suits. So, hey, it's what we do. It's what we do. So what do you do for work, man? What's your line of work?
Well, right now, mate, I'm in real estate. So a bit of a career change from what I was doing. Yeah, just loving it.
Yeah. How long have you been in real estate for?
So I started in January this year, and
so fairly new.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I'm a new face.
Okay.
I'm a new face in the industry. I look professional. This is what the suit has to do with it. Fake it till you make it. But
that's it, mate. What moved you over to that industry?
I've always wanted to get into real estate. Ever since I finished high school, I wanted to get into real estate. I applied for a few like apprenticeships and all that stuff. But, at that stage, I was doing some other work. The apprenticeship didn't go ahead, so I just left it in the back burner. And then last year, the job that I was at, with the COVID situation, the option of taking a redundancy came along. So, I decided to take the plunge. It was time in my life to make that career change, get into something a little bit more stable, and just make the most of it, man. Because if I didn't do it, I'll never know what it's like.
Yeah, if you don't end up taking that jump, it never ends up happening, does it? So you took COVID by the horns basically, and was like, you know what, I'm going to use this to my advantage and just do something that I've never done before.
That's it.
How are you feeling with the change? How are you feeling with the new job?
Yeah, it's good, man. Like the first few months, because it was a new industry, I was, learning the ropes to everything. It was a struggle, man. It was straight either sink or swim. There was no base salary. I was on commission only. And it was hard. It was hard, bro. But for me, if it's not hard, it's not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to understand that. And yeah, now I'm loving it, bro. I learned everything, put my head down for most of it. There was a lot of things going on in my life back then as well. But decided to sort of focus on my work a little bit more and try to make the best of it, man. Give it the opportunity, make the best of things.
Nice, mate. And what agency you work for? What area are you working in at the moment?
So at the moment, I'm in an agency called Dinox Global, and it's a smaller boutique agency. We're in the city, and we don't have a core suburb. We just sort of go around Sydney. Now I've decided to take a suburb to focus on, and that suburb is Ryde. But I just sort of set myself in the city and then branch off. So properties in Punchbowl, Homebush, Ryde predominantly. But yeah, I'm a bit all over the place, man.
So you're all over the place. That's very different for an agency to be to have their foot in every single suburb. How do you find that? How do you find that in the industry itself?
Look, it's a different industry right now. To what it was. People were used to having that familiar face of Gary Smith that's been in real estate for 20, 30 years. It's been a family friend and whatnot. You know, they go to the local shops. So they just sort of based off that in terms of who they know. Now it's more of, you know, the market is the market. You got to understand it. And the same rules apply, whether you're selling in Greenacre, whether you're selling in Ride. It's, you know, creating that urgency in terms of the sale and, you know, having those relationships with your vendors and buyers. So yeah, it hasn't really affected me much. I enjoy it. You know, I've always been a social person. I like to talk to people. I like to sort of know a bit of everything and a bit of everything about everyone, you know.
Yeah, you get a bit of a lot of it, eh?
Yeah, man. And like, look, my background was hospitality and other sales, so I've always sort of been social, a bit more talkative, and yeah, man, I enjoy it. I enjoy it.
So from your perspective then, what are your thoughts on the Sydney market? Because if anyone that lives in Sydney or anyone that's tried to get into the market at the moment, they know that real estate in Sydney is one of the hardest markets to get into. What's your piece of advice, or what would you say to a brand new person trying to get into the market?
In terms of getting into real estate, or trying to buy, or trying to sell?
Trying to buy.
Trying to buy. Look, what I would tell them is don't hold back. If you feel comfortable about putting an offer down, you're not putting enough money on the table. Okay. It's a family home that we're talking about. It's an investment that we're talking about. None of these is going to make you comfortable. You have to be uncomfortable with the price because it's a long-term investment. It's a long-term thing. That's where you start creating your life and start making something out of nothing. So my piece of advice is get on the market as soon as you can. Talk to a broker. Get your financials ready. Let's just strike on. Everyone will tell you that, you know, the market is going up, prices are going up. Yes, it's true, but the reason prices are going up is because there's high demand, low stock, ready to go buyers. You know, so stock is running out. People are running out of financials as well, and they're holding back.
Do you find a lot of people are holding back? Do you find it's very easy for people to hold back rather than pull the trigger?
First-time buyers will hold back. People that have a bit more experience, they'll go, yeah, I'm happy to spend that extra 10, 20K. First-time buyers, you know, they start thinking, oh, you know, it's $10,000 I won't have in my pocket, you know, and all those things. It's an asset. It's going to be with you the whole time. It doesn't mean you're losing that money, just putting it elsewhere. So a lot of my buyers have been first-time buyers, and they hold back and they sort of lowball the prices. But, you know, it's just making them understand that, you know, this is your life essentially. You know, this is where you are going to procreate. You are going to make a life from this. And this is where you start. So you have to be uncomfortable with it to make sure to be comfortable. So you'd rather sacrifice being uncomfortable putting a price down than being uncomfortable in settling in something that you don't like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that. Okay. So let's take this, let's try to break this down then, because I am an investor. I do have a property myself, but I know there's a lot of people out there, especially young people that are out of high school, out of uni, starting their lives, that probably don't know how the market works. They don't know how to get into the market. So you want to take us step by step in how a buyer would get into the real estate game?
Yeah. Look, the way it works is, you know, you've got your two main sources, which is domain and real estate. Now with the younger buyers, you know, they'll probably see ads on social medias and all that stuff. So you find a property that you like, find your budget. Well, first things first, you got to set your financials right. You've got to have a deposit in your bank account that's ready to go. You got to have a broker. I'm not a fan of banks. Brokers always work the best deals for you. And then get a pre-approval ready. Once you have that pre-approval, it means that you're a qualified buyer, you know what you're looking for, and you can start looking at what you can afford. You know, you go in real estate, domain, look at the suburbs that you like, and type in, you know, 650K budget, what pops up. I usually go in the more broad aspect of things. So I just put 650K in realestate.com, and whatever suburb pops up, I'll see the houses that I like, do a bit of research. Just make sure you have those financials ready. See a property that you like, strike on, make a booking to inspect, make a few calls, inquire about it, see how much the vendor wants, and see if it's within your range.
And what are you looking for when you're looking to buy a property? What are some of the keys that you should be keeping your eye out for?
In terms of apartments and in terms of houses are two very different things. In terms of apartments, you've got to look for low outgoings. Make sure that the strata doesn't have any faults or any bad strata sort of thing, because that's where they will get you. If there's a special levy coming up and there's an extra 6-8K that you got to fork out of your pocket 3 months down the track, so it's not worth it. Make sure there's no lawsuits on the buildings for the builders and all that stuff. Age, I'm a big fan of age. So if you go for an older apartment, yes, some buyers would prefer it because they go, oh, yellow brick, orange brick, it's good. Not necessarily. It just means that you got a high strata, not many amenities, and it's just old.
Yep.
But you have a newer building within the 3 to 5 range, 3 to 5 year old range. So you're not screwed, sort of thing.
Okay, and houses.
Houses, same thing. Land is where the value holds, but if you're worried about the construction, just make sure you do a building inspection report. Make sure you've got nice neighbours as well, and what you can do with the land in case you want to do further developments down the track. If you want to knock down and rebuild, you got to make sure that the council is okay with it. That you can put a second level or put an extension or whatever those things. Just make sure it's approved.
And you find all that in the contract for sale?
Yes, you can find that in the contract for sale. You can ask your agent. You can ask the vendors. You can ask the council. So the info is available. It's just what you do with it.
It's just doing the homework, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that a lot of people are scared of. I think especially young people or people that haven't ever invested in anything as of yet is the amount that they think could go wrong. And that's what is so, I guess, scary about pulling the trigger, is that there's all these different things that you need to watch out for. There's all these different players in play that a lot of people, coming out of school, they don't teach you that in school. They don't teach you what to look for in this regard. So it is important that you do your homework and you get into it the best way that you can. Yeah,
absolutely. It's just pulling the trigger. What's their solution? That's the way I see it. Whatever works, whatever happens. It's the way it goes. But yeah, just make sure you do your research before that. Just make sure you're comfortable with that, and then after that, just make sure you grab it by the horns and ride that thing.
Yeah. Any words of warning for anyone trying to get into it? If there was something that you had to tell people, you should watch out for this, or you should be careful of this, is there anything specific that comes to mind?
I don't know if I should be telling you that as an agent.
I'm trying to get you in there, mate.
All my secrets, mate. No, look. What is it to look out for? Just make sure you got your financials ready, because your cash is your daily area. And if you want to buy something that you can't afford, you're screwed pretty much. Just make sure you buy something within your means. Make sure it's a good location, and yeah. It's
pretty straightforward, isn't it? It's a lot more straightforward than I think people give it credit for.
Mate, the way I see it is, you're driving down the road. It's looking for where you park. You got to see what's around. You got to see what could potentially happen. You got to make sure you're in a good street so you don't get mugged or whatever it is. You don't want to park in a tree because things might fall down. You just want to make sure that you pick the right spot. And where you park is where you park.
I like that. It's where you park. That's I've never heard it that way before. That's interesting. That's different.
I just made it up, mate. I just made it.
I love it. So Nate, we actually met only a few months back, mate.
We did.
I met you through Elevate. Met you at church. What brought you to us, man? What brought you down our way?
Look, mate. I was in the world for quite a bit of time. As it will happen to almost every Christian out there. Beginning of the year, I was trying to get back with the Lord, back in the right path. So I was looking for a church. I was praying about it. I was visiting different churches that I've heard of, that I've been before, and had a few friends. But after that was more of a sorry, my neighbour's walking past. I'm a popular person. So I was going to different churches where not that I feel comfortable, but where the Lord would speak to me. And I'm not talking down to any churches. I understand that the pastors and preachers there, the way they preach, are fulfilling to the flock there. But for me, it wasn't what I needed. It wasn't where the Lord wanted me to settle. Funny enough, I had made my decision, moving forward. I made my decision. I was going to settle at a church in Seven Hills. and I live down the southeast coast. And I was on my way to Seven Hills on a Sunday. I'm an early person, man. I love being early everywhere I go.
I'm with you there.
I hate is being late and stress. So I was going early, and I've heard about Faith Baptist before. And I was driving up. It's the same road from my house to Seven Hills there, and my house to Regent's Park. So I was driving past that road, and I was at a traffic light, probably about 20 minutes away from the church. And a thought came into my mind. And remember, this is when I had made my mind up that I'm going to settle at the church in Seven Hills.
Yeah.
Thought came into my mind, Faith Baptist. Took my little detour, checked the times that they were open, and, perfect timing, man. You guys start at 10:45. I had a lot of time to stop for a coffee, prep myself up, and pulled over there, wait for church to start, and I walked in. The Lord spoke to me. I had so much crap in my life, man. Like, I was broken. I was a broken man. I walked in there feeling empty, feeling drained, with so many things happening. The Lord spoke to me. He brought me down to tears, and that's never happened in a long time, in a really long time, man. Think that time past Mansour preached on what happens when you're turning away from the Lord, how the Lord brings you back. And pretty sure it was in the book of Hebrews. And mate, telling you, I started crying.
Yeah.
I started crying, and I'm not a person to cry. I've probably cried 6 times, 7 times in my life, in the sense of conviction.
Yeah.
But mate, that was the time. And then from there, man, the people that were there were really warm. I'm South American, so for me, it's about not friendliness, but the way you interact with each other, the way you receive the brethren, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Very family sort of culture.
Yeah. Correct. And everyone is family. Everyone's each other, but you actually don't. Well, it was one of those things. So yeah, ever since that day, never left. Came back at night, and then to this day, man. To this day, every single Sunday, the Lord has spoken to my heart. Decided to join Elevate. I actually knew Pastor Gondaman from youth camps back in the day, man. Like, this is when I was 11, 12 years old. I used to go to camps. I was at Lighthouse Baptist at that time. And I knew Pastor Gondaman from then. And we had lunch one day, and he invited me to Elevate. So contacted him, brought me over, and again, every single time that I've been to church, the Lord has been speaking to my heart, putting back the broken pieces, making a work of art, like he normally does. But yeah.
And what brought you to that point? You said at the beginning of the year, you were ready to get back into your relationship with God. You were ready to get back into church. What brought you to that?
So, look, there was a time in my life, right? It would have been 2016 when it all started, sort of thing, when I started drifting away from the Lord. I had a job, had decent income for a 16, 17-year-old.
So is this right after high school or during?
Yeah, during high school, probably year 12.
Okay.
I started putting my eyes on the things of the world. And, my walk with the Lord was starting to slowly drift away. I wasn't going to church. I was hanging out with crowds. I was focused on work, focused on money. I had that love of money. And, slowly the devil works in your life, sort of thing, and pulls you away from the Lord. And,
did you find it to be a slow progression?
Oh, mate, it's a slow but steady progression, mate. Like, you take one step out, and that's what the devil will take, and he'll drag you out. He won't stop until he sees you.
Bit by bit after that, isn't it?
Until he sees you broken, borderline, wanting to die, and start doubting God, blaming him, and it was his fault. That's what the devil wants. So, things happened. I started doing the wrong things, drinking, going out, all the things that, the Lord didn't want me to do. And he wasn't right. And last year, mate, things happened in my personal life that broke me. I had my eyes on work, money, and other things, man. And yeah, look, it's a bit of a touchy subject as to what happens. But I failed. I failed the Lord. Morally, physically, and every other way possible.
And he just brought you to a level where you needed to start coming back.
Correct. I was at a level that I was on the ground, mate. Would have been lower if it wasn't any lower. And instead of digging a deeper hole, I looked up.
Wow.
And,
okay.
From the ground, looked up, and I started realizing that it's time to get back with the Lord. I've always had this analogy that when you're far away from the Lord and things happen in your life, you have two options. You either come back to the Lord or keep going and digging yourself a deeper hole. So I thought, you know what, this is it. I don't want any more of this. I hate being the person that I am, lying, cheating, everything, man. Everything that the devil wants you to do, wants you to be, that's what you are. And I decided, look, this is a turning point in my life. I don't want to do this anymore. And, prayed about it, asked the Lord for forgiveness, which was the number one thing that anyone has to do. Ask the Lord for forgiveness. He'll forgive you 100%. He's your heavenly, he'll forgive you. But what will happen is there's consequences and there's rebuking, there's teachings that will hurt you more in a good way as you start walking back with the Lord. And yeah, man, like I said, it's a turning point. And then funny enough, Pastor Yusuf again, he preached, I'm not sure if you remember that message, how our parents are a good role model and example. So I grew up in a Christian home, and Mum has always been very faithful, very faithful, praying every day, reading her Bible, constantly being my support and my rock, sort of thing. So I appreciate what she's done. And the preaching was about, when you walk away from the Lord, you have something to look back towards. You know what I mean? And you look at your parents and you start coming back to the Lord. And that's your constant reminder and constant calling. So yeah, man, that's sort of a bit of a brief story as to what happened.
How hard did you find it to make that decision, to finally say enough's enough, I'm ready to come back?
It wasn't tough, man.
Yeah.
It wasn't tough. For me, it was more like, how much cleaning do I have to do? How much do I have to do to get rid of everything that I've done? All that cleaning that comes after you're in that mess. Yeah. At one point in time, you decide, all right, I'm dirty as, I got to get changed. So it wasn't a hard decision. It was more the reciprocation that there is from the world. The devil doesn't want you to go back to where you were. Yeah. He'll still throw things at you that, will make you fail, that, would sort of push you back a little. But like I said, man, for me it was, all right, this is a turning point. I've lost friends, family, a beautiful person in my life that, sin cost me, being away from the Lord cost me. And if I had walked right with the Lord, if I had been in the footsteps that the Lord wanted me to be, I don't think it would have happened. And if it had happened, I would have been a lot stronger to say no to temptation.
Yeah. And how do you find that now that you have made that decision and that you have come back and that you were finally able to repent and move back to what life is meant to be? How are you finding life now? How are you finding the change?
Mate, it's a much clearer perspective. And whatever you look at things, you don't base your answers or your opinions on what you think. It's on what the Lord thinks. It's on, how grateful you are for being alive, for having a life, for, breathing every day. You just sort of look at things, and it's a much easier life. It's a much lighter life in a sense. Yeah. As to what the burdens were and how the Lord has lifted those up. Of course, there's still pain. Of course, there's still, what's the word that I'm looking for?
The life isn't an easy life. It's a common misconception that, once you become a Christian, everything's sweet, everything's easy. But that's not the case at all.
Oh, definitely not, man. Definitely not. You know, you still have your problems,
Still have your
but
struggles.
you just thank the Lord for everything.
Mm.
You know, whether it's good or whether it's bad, whether you like it or whether you don't. Like Job, mate, you got to thank him. You know, for everything that's happened. You know, the past is the past. There's still going to be consequences for it, for sure. But it's the person that the Lord wants you to be in the future.
And I think that's a very important point, bro. And it's a point that a lot of people don't think about or don't consider, because I think it's a lie that is constantly fed to them that, you know, you have to clean yourself up and you can't move on from what you've done. Once you ask Christ for forgiveness, once you repent, that's it. He's forgotten about it. The Bible says that he's casted it away, and he wants to continue this new life with you. And I think that is a great point, and it's an important one, because it's not one that a lot of people think is the case. You know, looking at you now, mate, it looks like, you know, God's really got you set on a path now, more than ever before. Would that be right, or would that be wrong?
Look, I still don't think I'm worthy of his love and mercy. Yes, he's changed my life. He's helped me a lot. You know, I hadn't read my Bible in years, man.
Yeah.
I hadn't read my Bible in years. I wasn't going to church. And now, yeah, the Lord has changed me, and I'm grateful for it.
Yeah.
You know, having a different mindset, putting my priorities straight has been a big change in my life. I was a workaholic, man. For me, work was my everything. I used to pull 18-hour days, 19-hour days, no problems, you know. Come home late, start early, keep going, 2-3 jobs. I was loving it, man. For me, work was my getaway. And that was pulling me away from the Lord as well. But now, man, yeah, it's, you know, the Lord is my everything.
And I want to get into that side of things, but I want to ask you, do you remember the first time you opened your Bible again? Do you remember that first sitting?
Yes, it was back in April.
And how did that feel? What was going through your head when you opened those pages for the first time in years?
I don't know how to explain the feeling and emotion you have, because it's not like you're just sitting down and reading a book.
Yeah.
It's like literally someone is talking to you, and it sounds cliche, and, you know, a lot of people would think, oh, you know, spiritual people and religious people. No, it's not religion. It's a way of life. It's your walk with the Lord. You know, it's just gratefulness. You know, realizing that he's our Father. First time I opened my Bible in a long time, mate, Proverbs was one of the books that I was reading back then, and I'm reading it again now. But, you know, the first verse in Proverbs talks about wisdom, understanding, and moving away from the Lord, from the world. And to have that as the first pointer as you're trying to get back with the Lord is like setting boundaries, I guess, or setting ground rules, you know?
Yeah.
Wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And not from you, from the Lord, not from ourselves, because we know nothing.
Yeah, it's sort of like God was saying to you, listen, for the last 5 years or so, you've taken the reins. Now let me take the reins. Yeah,
and it was like borderline slap in the face and here, hold my hand. We're going to do this together. You know what I mean? Like, from a South American background, the way I see it is, you know, your parents, when they get a little bit grumpy, when you do the wrong thing, you know, you probably get the thumb across the head or whatever the case may be. I don't know what you got.
Hey, mate, we were the exact same. Households are the exact same.
And then, you know, you get the rebuke at first, and then you get the instruction. Then you get the build up. You know, you get the reasoning as to why that happened. And yeah, man, it's been a slow and steady process. And like I said, every day the Lord has been speaking to my heart. I was reading Ruth a couple of weeks ago. Beautiful chapter, beautiful book, and see what the Lord has done. You know, something out of nothing.
That's it, mate. He's sort of he's changed the whole mindset. Yeah, man. And so back to the work thing, how has that affected you at work? How's that affected you as a workman? Because you were a workaholic before, but living a life with Christ, there's a lot of responsibility there in making sure your life with him is balanced.
Mate, I used to work 8 days a week. You know, I used to find that extra day, and people hated me for it. You know, I sacrificed a lot of time with my family, and the Lord especially as well. I was working Sundays. Back then it was just, money, money, money. This is what I want. This is what I'm looking forward towards, being a millionaire and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And, like I said, I was working Sundays. Now for me, Sunday is a rare thing. And if I do have to work Sunday, I'm sorry, it's after church or before church. It's still the wrong thing to do, but with my work, I still have to attend to certain things because, you got to be responsible.
It's changed the type of man you are. I mean, from a man that would have worked on a Sunday for no worries, no reason whatsoever.
Correct.
So
I
now
would have worked on the Sunday and not go to church.
Yeah, setting those boundaries now sort of changes you as a person.
Same thing on Wednesday, man. Elevate. For me, I start the day very early, right? I'm the first one in the office, usually the last one out, but I get to the office around 7:30, 8 o'clock, 8:30 the latest. Right? 8:30 is I'm having a sleeping day or catching up with coffee, having a coffee somewhere. But 8:30, I start the day, finish. On Wednesday, I'll finish at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
On the dot. I'm sorry, I can't stay a second more, a second less. The Lord needs me to go to elevate and learn. Because now I'm in the stage of my life where I need to be built up again so I can start teaching to others, so I can start helping others the same way the Lord has helped me. Same thing on Sundays. Like I said, it's changed my perspective, and my priority is no longer money. It's the Lord. Receiving and showing that love that the Lord has shown me, that mercy and that forgiveness for everything that I've done, man. I've done some horrible things that I'm not proud of. And, if I wasn't walking with the Lord, I would hate myself. We as the flesh, there is situations like that.
But mate, that's the beautiful thing about the Lord, really. And that's the beautiful thing about Christianity is that, we've lost your screen for a second there, mate.
Sorry,
there we go. You are back. That's the beautiful thing about him is that no matter what you've done, he's ready to accept. He's ready to welcome you back with open arms, And a beautiful story in that. I mean, you think about the man that was hanging on the cross next to him, a thief. Early in the night, he's making fun of Christ. He's mocking him. And by the end of it, Christ has forgiven him and has told him he's going to be in paradise with him that night. It's beautiful to see that no matter what we do, he's ready to accept us if we're willing to go to him with it.
That's correct.
Now, let's be very blunt. Let's be very straight. Your industry is not the most loved industry out there. There's a lot of dodginess that goes on. There's a lot of dodgy people in it. How do you, as a Christian, navigate those fields, navigate those waters? How do you stay honest? How do you stay correct in your morals to make sure that you're not disobeying your God in the real estate field?
Look, back in the day, I used to work in sales before as well. And before it was, talk it up, get the money, happy days, let them go.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to lie to people, man. I would have lied before, lied every day. It was just the thing that you do in sales. You don't lie, you just sort of twist the truth.
Yeah.
Standard. Now, I hope not many people see this, but I'll be honest with my buyers and my vendors. I'll tell them what it is. I'll tell them if it's worth their money, worth their time, and just make sure that, it's a bit of a hard situation there.
You're making sure that people are on the same page from what it's
correct. I'm making sure that they're aware of everything, the good, the bad, and the in between, and they're aware of what's going to happen. What's in that property, what's not in that property, what's in the contract, what's not in the contract. And I'm just honest and blunt with them. If they like it, they'll buy it. If they don't like it, fine. But I don't want to be held responsible years down the track when they find things out and find that I've withheld the truth from them.
Do you find that your vendors and your buyers are a lot happier post-sale now?
Yeah, mate. I've got a buyer that bought a property off me back in March, and to this day, man, I went to see him the other day. I was honest with him, told him everything, helped him out in every way possible that I could. And now, he just calls me up. We have a chat, we go for a coffee. And back then in the sales that I was before, that never happened.
Yeah,
they came back to me with a complaint 6 months down the track. It was one of those things. But now it's keeping that relationship with people because I was honest with them.
And it's paid off.
You know, like I said, I've only been in the industry for so long, you know, like 8-9 months now. And yeah, it's something that you really got to be careful about. It's an industry where you got to be arrogant, you got to be proud, you got to lie. You know, it's a tough industry for a Christian. Very tough industry for a Christian.
And what would you say to someone that wanted to jump into the industry as a Christian?
Do it, but do it right.
I like that.
You know, I'm not saying not to do it. I'm just saying it's hard. You know, it's a good industry. It's, you know, there's money to be made, and there's, you know, it's a rewarding industry for sure. But just make sure you keep your morals straight and focus on the better things in life. Focus on the Lord. Don't focus on the money. Don't get carried away by that. You know, money will go away. Salvation won't. Heaven won't. You know, we are the children of the King of everything. You know? Amen,
bro. That's great. That's awesome, and it's so cool to see. You know, Christian wanting to do Christian things in the right way. You know, no matter what field it's in. So Nate, to close this off, mate, I want to ask you something that I ask everyone on this show. If you could go back 10 years, I give you a DeLorean, I give you a time machine, I send you back.
What's a DeLorean?
You ever seen Back to the Future, mate?
I've never seen Back to the Future, but that's another conversation.
Mate, the people that are on this channel will know the history we have with Back to the Future right now. Nathaniel never saw Back to the Future. And
Back to the Future.
Mate, we made Stat watch it, and he hated it, even though it's one of the most loved movies of all time. So while you're in lockdown, mate, jump onto it. It's a good one.
All dressed up, mate. I'll do it.
Anyway, so I give you a time machine. I send you back 10 years. You find Nate. What are you saying to him? What's the one piece of advice you're giving him?
Do what the Lord wants you to do. Love God more than others. And stay in his path. You know, forget about this world. Forget about the things that are on offer. You know, money, possessions, you know, fun. Give it to the Lord. Trust the Lord and just be happy.
That's it, bro. That is it. I love it. I love it, mate. I love it. And I've loved having you on, mate. Thank you for jumping on to talk to me. Nate, if the people want to find you, if the people want to, you know, find a property, do business with you, where can they find you, mate?
Mate, on my socials, it's Nate_Chacon. Denox, I think it is. Happy days. My phone number is public to everyone that wants to give me a call, have a chat.
Perfect, man. We'll chuck that in the description, ladies and gents. We'll chuck all of Nate's socials. Make sure you subscribe, follow the channel, share this around. Nate, thank you so much for talking to me, man.
Thanks, bro. You look good.
Mate, you look better. We'll talk soon. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, good job.